Hey, Flowmies, it's time for another edition of the ITF Flowcast. And this week, we're going to have another edition of Gabe's Corner. Now, as you recall, Gabe's Corner is an opportunity for me to share some of the things that I've learned over the years as a window cleaning business owner. Now, I don't claim to know everything, and I don't claim to say that my way is the only way, but these are some of the things that I've observed over the years. Now, the topic I want to talk about today was, have you hired an employee or have you hired a window cleaner? And this is something I've talked about on other Flowcasts in the past. And I've also wrote an article in the AWC magazine about this particular topic, but it's something that's very important to me and something that's close to my heart. I do talk to my employees a lot about this, about whether they are window cleaners or employees and what standards they have to meet to be able to be considered an employee. But before we go on, let's talk about this definition that I have with an employee and a window cleaner. So an employee is someone who has no investment in the company or the work other than their paycheck, right? Them working for you it's just another job, and they're going to leave at a moment's notice if a better opportunity comes, i.e. they get paid 25 cents an hour more somewhere else, right? They're going to go ahead and drop the job. They're going to head over there. They will do the minimum work necessary for it to count as working. They will do the motions of the window cleaning, but even if the quality is not quite there, in their mind, they're done. They did the motion, right? The job is complete. They lack a desire to problem solve, right? If they come upon a situation which is out of the, little bit out of the ordinary or a little more difficult than what they're used to, they kind of give up. They don't invest any time or energy trying to figure out how to do that job with the quality that's necessary to properly represent your business. They also complain and pout about a lot of different things, right? The job's always too hard, or the weather's always too hot, or there's always something that they're unhappy with. And if God forbid you give them a labor-intensive job or perhaps a detail-oriented task, oh, you're never going to hear the end of it, because you're making their job harder than in their mind what it should be. They also tend to be clock watchers, right? They're just keep checking, well, when is my break? When is my lunch? When is this job done? And they're continually comparing how much time they have in their mind with how much work is left to do. And so they just want to put enough effort in to say that they've earned their pay for that week. Then once they finish that task, they just move on to the next task, whether that task was actually completed to the quality level that they should be concerned with. So that's where it presents the problem, right? Because an employee, you have to watch them all the time. They have to be told exactly what to do. And once their assigned task is done, you often find them kind of standing around looking around instead of looking how they can help others on the job. So those are just some of the qualities of someone who is an employee. Now, a window cleaner is just the opposite. In contrast, they are someone who care about their crafts, right? They care about their reputation, not just to you, but also to your clients. They really work hard to make sure that the customer is satisfied with the work that they're putting forth. Now, they also are someone who feels like they are part of a team, and they consider their work to be complete only when the condition of the windows in the house in general meet with the standards of the company. They are usually the ones who are excellent problem solvers. They want to learn as much as they can about how to do every window. And when they come upon a particular type of window, or maybe a particular type of environment that they're not familiar with, they want to learn, because the next time they do that job, they want to be able to do it right without having to get assistance or help from you. They also recognize that their effort is only as good as the results that it produces, meaning that they can do the work of cleaning windows, but if they step back and they look and they see that that window really isn't clean, they're not going to move on to the next window. They're going to keep trying until they get that window to the quality that it needs to be. So they also focus on the work at hand. They avoid being distracted by the time, by what needs to be done. Of course, they're very cognizant of when the next job is, and making sure that they try to get there on time as much as possible. But the bottom line is, a window cleaner does not need their hand to be held constantly. They understand their role. They understand the responsibility that has been given them, and they try to anticipate the needs of the company before you have to tell them to do these things. So you can see the contrast between these two types of workers is pretty vast. And you someone who is an employee, you have to continually check up on them. Someone who's not, you can trust them with their company and send them on their job on their own, and they're going to do as good a job as they possibly can to help you. So how can we know whether we're hiring an actual window cleaner or if this is just an employee? It's hard. And if I had the exact answer and the formula how to do that, I'd probably be selling this somewhere online. But there are some things that I have done to anticipate these types of employees and to try and weed out those who are the true window cleaners. Those are the ones that I want to hire. So one is I really try to I ask for a resume for all of my employees. I found that a lot of window cleaners who are experienced, they just kind of just tell you I'm a window cleaner and they expect you to hire off of their word. And those are going to typically not be the window cleaners. One, if they're floating around from company to company and they're an experienced window cleaner, that's probably a red flag, right? That kind of shows that and that's not in every case, because I have hired some people who just weren't happy with where they were at. And then when they came here, they were very happy. They fit in with our culture very nicely. But, generally speaking, if someone is hopping from job to job, it's either the people who have hired them are unhappy with them after a while, or they're just kind of people who are, kind of those free spirits, right? They just like to do one thing for a little while and then they want to go to something else, which is nothing wrong with that at all. But that's not who I'm looking for. That's not who I want to hire for my company. So asking for a resume and understanding what their history is, when they last cleaned windows, who they work for, if you can get referrals from their former bosses, their window cleaning bosses, if possible, obviously any referral is good. But if they've worked for a company another window cleaning company, and the applicant doesn't want to give you them as a referral to talk to, that might be a red flag as well. But just making sure they go through the steps to do that really shows that they want the job and they're not afraid to do something that perhaps they haven't done before, right? They're gonna because a lot of times they get they don't really know how to write a resume. But if they're a problem solver, they'll figure it out, or at least they'll know who to talk to help them get their resume up. So that's one of the first things that I do is I ask them to give me a resume. The other thing is I just ask them some questions that window cleaners should know, right? If you're a professional window cleaner, you know what brands that you like, you know what techniques you know how to do, what things you're proficient at and what things you're still kind of learning. Whether you've been trained, you've been OSHA certified for safety, all of these things. If you're just an employee, typically they just use whatever equipment was given to them. They really haven't put much thought into what they like to use, because they're not there to make a whole lot of money for their employer. They just want to get their paycheck. So they're not really concerned with doing things faster or what things work best for them. They're just, hey, what are you giving me? I'm just going to use it because it'll just help me to get the job done and get my paycheck at the end of the day. So knowing that they are proficient in understanding the techniques of the job and what brands and what types of equipment they like, you're going to start to get a feel as to whether they are an employee or if they are actually a window cleaner. I also base a lot of my hiring on our interaction. Because obviously they should be putting their best foot forward when they're talking to you on an interview. I often like to meet people like at a restaurant and I'll buy them lunch, in the interview. I try to keep it as casual as possible. I don't like it to be too formal because we're window cleaners. We don't really work in formal settings. So I want to see how they are when they're relaxed. And if we get along, if our personalities mesh, and we seem to kind of, have an understanding and mutual respect with each other, that's a really good sign. However, if they're overly casual, if they seem to be a little bit like they're talking down to me, or sometimes I've had people who they almost felt like they knew more than I did. That starts to have red flags now. Now I'm starting to see, okay, well, this is a person who I may have problems with, or they may have difficulty accepting my role as their boss. And maybe they might get some flack or kickback if I'm asking them to do something that they don't agree with. So, those are the types of things in the interview process that I try to do to weed out the employees and to find the window cleaners amongst the applicants that I have. I'm not saying it's a perfect model because obviously I'm still struggling, and we've gone through a lot of times where we had employees that were, or we've hired people that were definitely employees. And, it's just one of those things you can't always tell. But another thing that I do that really helps and offers a layer of protection to us is generally when I hire, they are on probation from the start. So when I hire, I'm not saying you have the job. I'm saying, hey, congratulations, you're now going to be hired for 30 days with our company, and we will reevaluate your role with the company after those 30 days. So they start off on probation. And what that does is that's a protection for both of us, for both the employee and for me. Because for one, especially if they've never done window cleaning before, they may not like the job, right? So if I commit a month to them, then they know that they have income for a month. And at the end of the month, they may even be trying to find a job after 2 weeks. So as long as they give me 2 weeks notice, then I know, or if we're in a position where we can just let them go at that time, that's fine too. But at least they don't have to be committed to us at that particular time, right? So that helps us to know that if they still want to be with us after 30 days, then there's something there. But that also helps me to know, and it gives me an out, that after 30 days, if their quality is still up to par, well, that's a really good sign. Because I found, the first week, oh, they're the model employees, right? They're working hard, they're doing everything, they're excited, they get their first paycheck. After about 2 weeks, you start to see if there's any issues with quality. That's about when it starts to drop. So I usually don't say anything to them, and I don't give them any, counsel. I don't give them any observations. I let them work, because I want to see, do they notice it? Do they make correction, or do they view my not talking to them as an opportunity? Like, oh, hey, this guy's not even noticing. I could probably get away with more things. And then at the end of the month, then we have the talk, and we may decide not to keep them on after that, after I have a chance to observe them. So those are just some things that I try to do. Again, like I said, I still struggle with hiring. I think all of us do. But one of the things that is important for me in my hiring is, and this is really helps, because an employee is motivated by money, and there's a lot of business models out there that offer incentives, cash incentives. There's of course, a lot of people I know and are very successful, by the way. I'm not bashing this at all, because it's actually a very lucrative business model where you give the employee a percentage of each job. And if they work for a while, and let's say they have a callback at a particular job, you're not paying them for that callback, because they've already paid for that job. So however long it takes them, it's really up to them for them to do it quickly and in good quality. It's in their best interest, so that they can go ahead and get as much money back for that work. And that's actually a safety net for the company as well, because now you're making a percentage of that money regardless of how long it takes that person. I personally, I don't like that model, and that's just me, and that's just totally my personality, because I don't like having employees who are solely motivated by their paycheck. Now, I try to pay my workers very well, and I try to offer other incentives that are not percentage based, but are based on how well they do, like getting reviews, compliments, those types of things. We have a tipping service that we just started using, and that gives them an incentive to do a job. But I want people who are working with me because they enjoy the culture of my company. I don't like bragging on a lot of things, but this is something that I do try. I really am very proud of, that we do try to have a team atmosphere, and that we all got each other's backs, and that all of us are raising each other's quality of work, because we're all hard workers. We're all putting in, we all, stick up for each other. We all do what we can to make sure that they feel a part of the success of the company. And that does spill over monetarily, both in the hourly rate that they get, but also in the benefits that they receive, whether it's health insurance or it's something, whatever they need. I really try to find out what things they need, and what things that would make this job attractive, so that they would want to stay. And I've had a client or customers. I've had employees who have been offered jobs or positions at other jobs that paid more, but they chose to stay because they wanted the culture. They know that they're not, there's no politics here. They know that they're going to be treated as fairly as possible, that I have their best interest. Because, and here's the bottom line, and this is where I try to make sure that my employees understand this. I want this job to be as good for them as it is for me. and they're working for me. When they're a good quality employee, they benefit this company so much. So I want them to feel that they are receiving the benefits because of what they bring to the company. And that's the culture that we try to instill. And hopefully that my employees will see that they can find a dividend in the success of how this company goes, but also to feel that they are a valued part, that they're not just easily replaceable. Now, employees are easily replaceable, right? But window cleaners, I'm going to do everything that I can to keep them and to make them happy and see what are their needs, what are their future goals. And in doing that, hopefully that's the biggest incentive. We're gonna give them a good paycheck. We're gonna give them other perks, but hopefully the incentive that keeps the window cleaners with my company is going to be their feeling like they are a part of the success and they can take pride in that. And so that's my goal, and that's my business model. Maybe it's something that can work for you, but feel free to share in the comments of this YouTube channel and let me know what things have worked for you. But anyway, that's all for Gabe's Corner. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Thanks a lot. You guys take care. And everyone, flow on.